Let's not get too quick with it. It's still summer, but we already know it's the middle of August. That means we got a lot of football coming up. College football for sure. I don't really cover college. I'm getting more into it. I don't really talk about it a lot, but the NFL season's around the corner. We're preseason week 2 is in session. So with all that being said, this is a new segment we're gonna try to get going for this football season and hopefully going forward. I got Coach JB, and this is our coach's corner. We're going to be talking some NFL football. Um, so this episode will solely be mostly about talking about off season. We're not going to talk about all the transactions that should happen already, but we're going to talk about off season. We're going to talk about some preview stuff for the AFC and all that good stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sports Talk with DesPain. And I got Coach JB here with me. As many of you have already been known, if you've been listening or watching the pod, I've had him on for several episodes last year talking football, and he was also my head coach last year. So welcome to the podcast, Coach JB. We're gonna make it happen this off season and going into the new NFL season as well. How you been, my brother?
I've been good, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. Obviously, love the way that you talk about sports, but also like sports is my passion. So, coming on, being able to talk about sports, but in particular football, like, yeah, anytime, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dog. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna be talking about the off season, of course. There's a few topics in the agenda that we want to tackle for sure, and because obviously we're at week 2, and I think starting next year they're gonna only have only 2 preseason
Only
weeks.
2 preseason games?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so we'll probably start seeing the actual that. Which I'll be honest with you, that kind of sucks in a way because there's a lot of like undrafted free agents. The 5th to 7th rounders, the guys, the quarterbacks. There's more and more quarterbacks are getting drafted more often now. They're not gonna get those opportunities in real time action during the preseason anymore because we no longer have 4 weeks of it. Now we have to judge them off of like these joint practices and these like training camp practices. It kind of sucks because they don't get that opportunity to actually be showcased, nor did they get the opportunities to go through real game opportunities with the OC, with the head coach or the DC. With the current offseason how it is right now, how you feeling about like how I don't know, to me it feels like in the last like 5 to 10 years, I don't know if it's because of fantasy football or sports betting or like more casuals are into NFL football. I feel like there's a huge microscope on like training camp, practices, you know, preseason in general. How do you feel about all that?
It's a business, right? Like at the heart of it, it's entertainment. It's not just pure football, right? I think, like you said, fantasy football, like that's a big component of the NFL, whether people want to directly realize that or not. So yeah, I think access to preseason is dope. I know I do that. With my friends, we call it propaganda, right? Like you'll take stuff, you'll throw it in group chats. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
trying to increase the value of a player.
Right, right,
Maybe I'm
right.
trying to devalue the value of a player so I can get him in a league. You know, I think some people still do redraft, or there are a lot of people doing redraft or best ball, these other versions of a league, so there's still value there. But I know for me personally, I only do dynasty leagues. I think that's also a new hype too. So you can stash some rookies, on your team for the future. So they might not even play for 2 3 years. And I think in terms of what you were saying too, in terms of like, I think honestly, I think 2 games is fine for preseason. College, high school, right? Like it's just training camp, and then you get a couple scrimmages, right? And unfortunately, I think. I mean, let's be real, right? Like football's a war of attrition. So like you do lose bodies every single time you do play into actual games, and especially when you're talking about preseason, because you're talking about 100 something guys on the roster. And yeah, some of those guys are rookies, but some of these guys are guys that were working a regular job, through the year. They didn't make the NFL last year. So they've been trying to get in there. Their bodies are getting older. Those bodies are more likely to give out, right? So some of those injuries too as well are not always just the brutality of the game, but just more the body wearing down. So I think a couple less preseasons are good. I think you can learn a lot from practice. Right, like I think anyone that's quick to write off practice just doesn't understand how it transitions to the game. So I do think having a couple games to get into the swing of things, get game operations, get play calls, get the feel for it's good. But if we can reduce quick whistles, get out of it, it's just not worth losing a guy in preseason. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And plus, half these games, we're not even having guys suit up. I think across sports, across the board, these kids are playing so many games since they're little kids, right? Like even football. We got places in this country where they're playing spring ball, right? So they're playing tackle in the fall and they're playing some variation of tackle in the spring, or they're playing some variation of sevens, and I think you could probably look at all these non-contact injuries, and not just football, right? Like the NBA, we saw a bunch. Like when guys are playing a lot of sports, it's gonna
Wear and
go
tear.
eventually. Something's gonna happen eventually. So it comes with the territory of playing sports. You know that when you sign up. These guys make millions. I don't think it justifies, getting hurt. But the risk is, you've kind of decided, you'll take that level of risk, and it is, if you can make a few years in the league, it is generational money. So
It depends how you handle your money. It kind of sucks though, in a way. Like, not to get out too much outside of football. Like I'm looking at like Shohei Ohtani making millions, and obviously he deferred a lot, but now he's getting hit with like lawsuits and this and that. But because the thing is, like when sports media is highlighting your $700 million, or even like with Shannon Sharp signing that big deal with ESPN, that's the things that come with it. Like you being a former athlete or being a current athlete, like money is gonna lead to generational wealth if you do it right. But also you gotta walk on some eggshells a little bit, because somebody's gonna be looking for that money back in whichever way, because they're gonna take you to the cleaners somehow.
yeah. And I think that's just a life lesson for anybody. When you
Hmm.
come into money, when you have assets, you need to protect yourself, right? It's no different than owning a home, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have friends over, they're having some drinks, you cannot let those people leave the house intoxicated, right? You could be liable if they go home and get into a car accident on the way home. People don't realize the things they get sued for. Someone could trip and fall in the back of your house, right?
Right.
You could get sued for that. And these things happen, right? And so I'm not saying you need to not trust nobody, but yeah, I think some cases these people did things to cause themselves harm. But some cases, yeah, when you are worth millions of dollars, or even if you're worth, $1 million or $500,000, like people do get sued, every
Yeah.
single day. That is part of life. So, you know, you gotta be ready for what may happen.
Gotta have some good ass lawyers. So with all that being said, I know there's been some rookies and current players that had to deal with some legal situations. And I know you brought up the Rasheed Rice situation. We seen I believe it's Isaiah Bond is his name, right? From Texas. Finally, I mean, he finally got his opportunity. He should have been a second round or third round. The guy is like lightning fast. Like he should have been in somebody's roster in the draft, but unfortunately had to deal with a case for sexual assault. Somehow, by the grace of God, got off on that. And then Judkins, I believe from same team, Cleveland. He got in this domestic abuse situation. He got let off on that. I know you wanted to talk more about that. From my perspective with that situation, them young men, um, it's unfortunate because we only know one side of the story. There's two other sides of the story, the truth and the other person's story. But we only see the story that the media gives us about this particular player or whatever they've been doing or whatever they got themselves into. Same thing. We already know the Rasheed Rice situation is kind of like extreme, and they're talking 10 games for him possibly if the conviction comes down or whatever the case may be. So how are you looking at this whole situation with them young men? Like we coach teenage high school kids, and we know we preach no matter what the whatever happened during the season, we preach them to be stand-up men. What do you think, like that, what's going on with that whole situation? How you feel about that? Like, I know you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean it's multi-layered. I agree with you, to an extent, right? I think whether people like it, that there's a legal process, right? Like everything needs to have its day in court, right? We can talk about past cases, what we think or we don't know. Everyone needs to go through their process. So I think that's first and foremost. That's not my responsibility. That's the legal system. So that's tier one. And then I think beyond that, I think the NFL has interest, right, to function kind of similar to the legal system, right? Like public safety versus individual right. And so why I say this is, to me, reckless driving, driving under the influence, whatever's going on, that seems to be a football problem.
Mhm.
It also seems to be an American problem,
Yeah.
right? Just in general. And so I think there's a unique opportunity here to crack down on it. It's happening too much. This isn't just a slap on the wrist at this point. This isn't just take some classes and go back. Like, I think it's at a point like a guy should lose close to a season, if not a season, for reckless driving. Like, how many times do we need to see this? It's not a good look for the NFL. It's not a good look at all. So I think that, they should hold some of these guys a little bit accountable. I think players that are complying and cooperating a little bit more, you can be more lenient with the consequences. But I think there should be consequences for the actions, because at the end of the day, like you talked about young men, I think anyone under the age of 25, we're talking about young men. Rasheed Rice is very close to that borderline, but I do think that sometimes you have to learn from a very harsh consequence.
Right.
Um, and so to me, I think that those suspensions should be a little bit more heftier. In terms of those other ones, I also think there's the NFL teams, and I'm not going to say anything. Those guys could be fully off about the whole thing, but I think like the Browns just have a poor history of going after guys who have, how do I say it? Like, even if what they're doing is just weird, it's weird. Right. So, like, why do these things keep happening? I'm not saying that people don't pursue you. They're not trying to extort you. There's plenty of that stuff. But it seems like the Cleveland Browns seem to go after a lot of players that have
That history.
very complicated history. And then, like, what does that do to your locker room? Like, what does that say to people? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand it's a job, right? We're here to play football. I understand, leave all that stuff outside the doors for sure. Like 100%. I don't think you should be in the locker room getting overly political and doing all this stuff. Like, I think you're there to make some level of friendship. You do need to have friendships in the locker room, especially in the NFL. But at the same time, too, like, I do think that it's a reflection of who you are. And so if you're hiring people that have very sketchy histories, I don't know. I just think it's really hard to get through. So I think there's a level of integrity. And I can't speak for specific cases because, like I said, I think everyone has their day in court. You go through that process. But yeah, and sure, that's how I feel. But I think the NFL needs to be a little bit harsher with these, especially ones that just keep happening over and over again.
Right. And I mean, the thing is, too, the problem, I mean, like you said, it is the NFL problem. And I'll be honest with you, we're talking about these billionaire owners.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me they don't got some say they don't go to those counties or have some say into like talk to whoever it is to be like, hey, give him a slap on the wrist. We need that guy out here on the field. Like, he's a good guy in the community. They can say whatever the fuck they want, especially like a Jerry Jones. He has a lot of pull. He has a lot of pull. Robert Kraft. I mean, Aaron Hernandez situation fucked that whole shit up for him. But if it was anybody else, he would have like even like Barmore, he had a situation last year and he was like, call Robert Kraft. He's telling Rhode Island police to call Robert Kraft. You feel me? So it's like sometimes these guys know that they have pull from their owner. The owner will try to save their ass. Like,
Yep.
for example, like you being a head coach, you would expect most likely one of your players like saying, hey, Coach JB, I need your help. Like something happened. They probably will reach out because you're like the closest thing to their pops, but they feel more safer speaking to you to save them from a situation. But we're talking about a lot of men who are growing up from even in 2025 in situations that are not even comparable for you and I. Like
Yep.
you grew up in Cambridge, I grew up in Randolph. Like I grew up in the suburbs, but Randolph is kind of adjacent to like Boston. Like, and you grew up to like a city. Like you lived in the city life but we grew up as stand-up individuals, but we grew up we've been around things, we've seen things, you know what I'm saying, whatever. Not to say I've seen crazy ass shit, but I'm saying like we've seen and been around people. But like the reality is, we're talking about these young men over there in the NFL. These motherfuckers is growing up in the hood. We're talking
Yep.
about like even like what's his name, Tank Dell. He went back home last year and he got shot. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like these dudes are getting shot when they go back home, no matter how much money they got in their hand. they're gonna get shot or they get into some situations. Miles Garrett just got his 7th speeding ticket, like going over like 20, 20, 30.
But see
These
that,
dudes, they just live a reckless life because they live on the edge because they grew up on the edge.
but see
So it's
that's the
just
problem.
crazy.
That's the problem to me. At some point in time, you gotta grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, LeBron James, I think, is the poster child of growing up, right? He
Yep.
grew up
Yep.
in hardship, right? But you got to conduct yourself differently.
Exactly.
You know, not even just to protect yourself, just in general. So, like to me, like I get it. You know, we got a lot of people in America that grow up in low income neighborhoods, but to me, it's not an excuse. And there will be hardships in learning, right? Like
Mm-mm.
Rasheed Rice, you have 5 years of probation, 30 days that you need to serve in jail. I'm sure he'll be super safe on those 30 days, and
Of
you're gonna get
course.
some type of suspension from the NFL. That's a slap on the wrist. Now
If
you
he
may lose 8 to 10 football games this year. That's a slap on the wrist. You're
he gonna
still
get
gonna
that.
have time,
If
huh?
he balls out, he's gonna get some big ass contract to make up for all that.
Yeah, we need to conduct ourselves because that could have went poorly. That could have went worse.
Hundred
And I
percent.
believe what he flee the scene, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you made a bad decision and you made another bad decision, right? To me, there's got to be consequences. And that's part of growing up. And like you said, even the Tank Dell situation, you know, listen, I would tell this to a high school kid. At some point, you have to realize those is not your friends. And I understand certain lifestyles and how people live. And there's, once again, if that's how people choose to live, that's fine. But you can't be both. You can't be hanging out in the streets, being in places where you might get shot or be around some place that somebody may do something that's illegal. And then you also want to be a representative of a $1 billion corporation because that's what it is.
Yeah. That's the reality.
You know,
That's
so
the
whether
real
you're getting
reality
the
right there.
billions is irrelevant, you just can't do that. You know, and so to me, it's time to make the right decision to move on. That really stinks. You can't take all your friends with you. I got a lot of friends that, growing up, I'm still I got love for those dudes. You know what I'm saying? If I saw them out, yeah, we could get like a quick, drink or whatever, cheers it up. But bro, we're not hanging out. You know, you got to move on. There's just you don't have anything in common. You know what I'm saying? Your life is in different places. Like I'm
Right.
a teacher. How would I explain to somebody that I was involved or I was around this even if I didn't have anything to do with it? I was there. Well, that's your job to remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. You're an adult. At the end of the day, they're gonna hold you accountable, regardless of your excuses. I've made some mistakes in my life, and I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? I was grateful enough that it didn't affect me. Like not I wouldn't say financially, but affect me like in the workforce. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time. But now knowing better about how it could affect me going forward, I know better not to. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
How I surround myself. Like
And
I'm grateful about where I'm at now. I'm not in the best, I'm not in something luxurious or whatever like that, but I'm grateful. And on top of that, like God is good. Like I could have went to a different path because I decided to let that take me to that path. But I did not. But yeah, like these young men, like I see it all the time, and it's kind of sad. And it's kind of like, although we could say you got the money now, you shouldn't be doing all that. The money don't change nobody, bro. Like at the end of the day, you could give a bum $1 million, he's still a bum. You know what I'm saying? What do
yeah,
you
no,
think?
no. I mean, you're not wrong. Some people are not going to change. And to clarify, I'm not saying throw people away. I just think that the consequences, they should pay the consequences, and
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the opportunity for growth, right? It is
100%.
what it is. That's life. We all make mistakes, and just accountability. I think is a big piece because when there's no accountability, then there's no conscience about what you're doing. You're just doing it.
Exactly. So I mean, I do believe in second chances. I do believe in, I wouldn't say second chances. Sometimes people need maybe another chance after that.
Yep.
The NFL will always be notorious of giving too many chances, for one. We're talking about the same league that will, accept the Justin Tucker back with no problem. We've seen the reports that Ravens will be more than gladly to bring him back after his suspension. Deshaun Watson got his opportunities, but at the end of the day, we live in a time you're guilty until proven guilty. So it doesn't really matter. So that's why some part of me kind of feels away too, because it's like I feel like you said, people have to go through their time. They got to go through to the system. Like they got to allow them to be there. They should be innocent to proven guilty. But we live in a time where, because of social media and how people perceive someone who has money, they're just guilty. They don't give a flying fuck. They're like, you're guilty until we're proven guilty again. And that's not fair. I think everybody should have an opportunity to speak on what they did wrong and fight for their right to be innocent. And if they're innocent, like Isaiah Bond was, he is given, he should be given that opportunity to live his dream. You understand? Like, now I don't know anything about that situation. I know what we see on the news, but the kid is not guilty from his situation. Same thing with the running back. Same thing. He's good. He's innocent in the eyes of the law. But now that these guys have this opportunity, they cannot fuck it up. Like you said, like you fought the system. You got it right. You've been blessed. Don't fuck it up, because there's men out there like what's his name, who got drafted by the Jaguars years ago, the receiver.
Justin Blackman.
There you go. He's not, and I'm not even saying he did anything. Like, he didn't rape no one. He didn't kill anybody. Nothing. He was just a drunk. He was just a drunk. He was just a drunk, and he just led himself in a dark path. And he was one of the greatest receivers in college history, but he just didn't. He couldn't handle himself, and he even ended up in Jacksonville. That's not even like a. I mean, Jacksonville has a hood, but he's not in like the worst situation. He's not like in L.A. or something, and he fucked his life up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I
To this
mean,
day.
I don't think it matters where you go in the league because I mean I think the reality is from what January for some people to July,
Mm-hmm.
you're wherever you want to be. So for me, I think it's a touchy subject. So I don't I think there's a process. You got to go through the process. I hope that people learn from the process. And I just think that the teams and the ownership in the league needs to be more accountable for people, and they need to look at what are repeat events. I don't think you should throw young men away. I think there's always areas for growth. I think the Kyron Lacey situation is a tragedy, right? I don't think it should lead to a case, and that's a very tough situation. But at the end of the day, even if you had to do 10 years in jail, like, there are consequences. You deal with your consequences. You have parents, you have teachers, you have coaches, you have families, right? As a person, that all contributed to who you are as a society. When mistakes are made, maybe and then there are issues with our justice system as well too. But I just think you have to think about the people that are also contributing to who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
life is precious, and you need to go through your path, right? And there's no other way. But let's get off the dark stuff. Let's get on the
Right.
football, the
Yeah, for
bright
sure,
stuff.
for sure. But it was a good topic,
Yeah.
because it's necessary, because that's the reality of life, right? And then, with all that being said, before we move on, there is some stand up individuals that came up from some crazy shit with mothers, grandmothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, either passed away or in jail for some years, and they are just as solid of an individual in this society that we have now. And not only that, those who are got brought up in the hood, who have like parents who were service people and all that stuff. So they could go either which way they want to, but they didn't. So, with all that being said, as much as the media makes it seem like the NFL has some fucked up individuals, at least a good 90% of those guys are great individuals. They serve their community well. They don't look stupid out there every day, and they work hard. They're working hard. They're working in the hardest professional sport that I believe that they're working in. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't speak. I don't know. NBA to me doesn't seem
Yeah.
like it's as
It's
hard as NFL
it's all
training.
tough, man. Life's tough, a competitive workforce. But now you're right, man. I think of guys like Isaiah Likely, Mikey Sarasil, right? Like, those are like hometown guys out here. They do football camps. I know Isaiah Likely's been up to like the high school at Cambridge and popped into practices. Like that stuff goes a long way with communities. And they don't need to do stuff like that, but I think that's the stuff that needs to be coveted more because that impacts lives, right? And getting to see that and getting to say like, oh shoot, like I can make it out of here. I can better myself. These are things I can do. A lot of that stuff, and I think teams do factor that in. I think they sign players knowing that they're good team people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I think Shannon Sharp, right? Remember he was going off. Lamar Jackson was like playing around with some kids at a park or whatever, and that's a $1 million body right there. You gotta be very careful. But I mean, imagine that as a kid if you were like, yeah, man, I was doing like ones with Lamar Jackson, like, so like that's got to be a dream come true. So, I think that you're like you said, there's a lot of positive too, and I think that stuff should get coveted more often as well.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, we're going to move on. It was a much necessary topic to speak on because that's life. Some people don't want to be on, some people don't go on top podcasts to talk about that stuff because they're scared of it. But this is a podcast about sports talk. Sports has drama. There's a lot of drama in sports. With that being said, we have a lot of drama already when it comes to like the NFL, and it's not like it's just drama of like what's looking like for a lot of these teams. And we were just talking about training camp, season, all that good stuff. A lot of preseason games happen today. But we're gonna basically just focus on the AFC today. We're gonna preview the AFC. We're not gonna get too crazy and just go division to division and be like, oh, who we think's gonna be first, last, whatever, whatever, whatever. But what I really want to talk about is like, what's our expectations for that conference this year? I'm gonna get it started because I kind of was when I was because we're gonna have a bit of the segment where we're gonna talk about our top 7 teams in that conference. I was looking at that, looking up that whole conference, thinking about my top 7. I was like, before I even started, I was like, it's gonna be kind of hard because this is a loaded conference. And then I looked back and I looked at that shit. I was like, this conference is getting weaker by the day.
You
I
think
don't know
so?
why. I think so. And the reason why I'm saying this is because outside of the Power Five, which is like Baltimore, Cincy's Power Five to me, even though
No, same
they
here,
didn't,
same here.
yeah, they didn't have the craziest season last year, but I think they're gonna figure it out nonetheless.
You
But
got to look at a
Cincy,
team's 5 year, 3 to 5 year window.
exactly,
Of the teams, they're the only ones besides the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, right?
right,
They went to back-to-back
exactly,
AFC championships. Their core is still there, and their core is still remain very young. So yeah, I think they need to clean up what's going wrong. But yeah, no, they're I would say they're that.
right. So we're talking Chiefs, we're talking Baltimore, we're talking Cincy, we're talking Buffalo, and then I
You
said
know
Power
who?
Five, but
There's the one, the
I'm
Chiefs.
tripping.
But did you say Chiefs?
I said the Chiefs. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Chiefs,
I'm
Ravens,
tripping.
Baltimore, Bills. Yeah, those four. I would say those four
It's a
for sure.
Power Four. It's not a Power Five.
Yeah, it's a
There
four.
might
It's
be
a
a
four.
fifth team that could be there, but it's four, and those are the best four. Those 4 teams are the best quarterbacks in the NFL. No questions asked. Don't even debate with me about that. Those four. You're tuning into those 4 guys, no matter how the record looks, what they got on their roster whatsoever. So I thought it was gonna be hard for me to pick, and they were the obvious 4 teams. But it's like the rest is like you could really toss it up at that point. But that's just the way I looked at it from my perspective. But you looking when you put the AFC in a through the looking glass, what to you, what does it look like? Like, do you see it to be a conference where you feel like it was like last year, where it was like, wow, Denver came out of nowhere, the Chargers were nice,
I
the
think
Pittsburgh Steelers still won 9 games? How do you look at that?
so. I mean, I think it's the way you described. I mean, I would be shocked if any team made it to the Super Bowl or to the conference championship outside of that four that you named, right? Like, I think we've seen it's going to come down to in the AFC quarterback play. It's going to come
Mm-hmm.
down to that. We know that. And then your defense is going to have to make some plays. Like, all these defenses give up a lot of points, but that's because the offenses are they're just scoring in the AFC, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, the Ravens defense, they're not trash, but they're defending an offense scoring 30 plus points a game. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So, I think a lot of it is about situational football. When you make those stops, can you create a turnover? That's typically like when we saw the Ravens Bills games, people could say whatever. That's the difference between Lamar Jackson and Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen. Yeah.
2 first half turnovers. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't get to come back from that. You're lucky you were even close at the end. Two
Yeah.
first turnovers versus these quarterbacks. That's over. They're not going to give you the game back. So there's those four. I think you have to be gritty, and you have to have I think a pretty good defense. I think to be one of those fringe teams and kind of slide in. And for here I got the Broncos, the Texans. Let's see, right? Like, let's be honest. They took a step back last year, right? They took a step back last year offensively. They got some rookies drafted this year offensively. Defense will keep getting better, but same type of team. Chargers and Patriots. Those are the names that I had for teams that I think will kind of slide into those spots. I think they got defense-minded coaches, And then they got some offensive weapons now where I don't see them being able to string together enough wins in the postseason to get to a Super Bowl. But I
Mm,
think some of these teams could potentially get to the playoffs as a 10-17, and then that's it. But it's going to be on the back of a defense. That's the only way. You're going to have to knock around some of these good star players. You're going to have to frustrate a Jamar Chase. You're going to have to put Patrick Mahomes on his butt. You're going to have to meet Josh Allen with force. You're going to have to not let Lamar Jackson run around and get comfortable. You're going to have to make everything very difficult. So those are the other teams I had. I'm not saying that someone couldn't make it up. And I'm kind of excited to see what the Jaguars can do, with a new head coach. I think they have a lot of offensive talent. I don't believe in that whole Travis Hunter going both ways thing. Like that might happen for this year, but come next season, I don't think that's going to be the case.
yeah.
I'm pretty bullish on honestly the Colts, but I think they have to. That quarterback situation is a problem. I do think Anthony Richardson did take a step forward, right? Like in terms of layering throws, his arm does look better, right? Which for him, I feel like coming out, he was a fast guy. He could bomb the ball. Like I'll go back. I'll use a guy like Joe Milton. I don't care if you can throw the football 70. When are you throwing the football 70 yards? Like when is that happening? Is it relative to how hard you can drive a throw in a window? For sure. But when are you throwing the football 70 yards?
Yeah, I did.
So to me, you got to be able to layer throws in between the defense. And if you're not going to layer throws, then you're going to need to be really, really dangerous with your feet. I can't see a world where Anthony Richardson isn't starting. He may not be ready just yet, but Tyler Warren, boy, does he look good. People think I'm joking, but I think A.D. Mitchell is going to be a savage at some point. He's
Yeah.
sitting behind some more talented receivers right now.
You got Josh Downs, you got Pittman.
You have Jonathan Taylor, and then that O line is mean. So
Yeah.
the Colts.
He's just for the thing with Anthony Richardson is not a talent issue. It's a cerebral thing. It's cerebral. It's being understanding of your. That's why people were getting at him for the sack from last week. It's not. It had not like we spoke about it briefly. We don't know what the fuck happened in that
We
huddle.
don't
We
know.
don't know what the fuck
We
happened in
don't
that
know.
that. We don't know. Everybody chatting. We don't know. Full is crazy, bro. Y'all be talking like, oh, he should have done. You don't know what he had to do. You don't know what the running back had to do. Maybe that free rusher had to happen, and he just didn't make it to the
And
read quick enough. We don't know. We
everyone,
don't know.
here's the thing, right? You had Dano, who I believe Dano. I believe Dan Orlovsky, right? I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Coach JB from Last Chance You Get In. And some of this too is I think some of these guys just want to talk, right? They just want to
Yeah,
talk some points because
it's
they want
always
people
chat.
to tune into their platform. We don't know. Listen, if everybody knew how that protection worked, well then defenses would exploit it anyways. Because that's
Right,
what defenses do. There is a guy that is responsible for understanding how to attack your pass protection. So the best pass protection is one that picks up the pass protection but may do it just a little bit differently. My guess is all the down linemen should be blocked. No defensive end should ever be running free, right?
right.
But I don't know. I don't know.
We
All
don't
I know
know.
is whatever they did not work. Your quarterback should never have his pinky on his thrown hand dislocated. That should never happen. That is never going to be good. So to me, whatever they're doing, it's just got to be cleaned up. That can't happen
Right.
because
Yeah,
there's no way that's it. And I'm shocked that he's even able to play today. Like I've listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've had reconstructive surgery on my hand twice. That thing needed to be pinned twice.
and he dislocated his
You're
pinky.
yeah, you're lucky that he's just back in the game. Like that's usually 4 to 6 weeks. Gotta put some pins in it. And I'll tell you this, as I'm getting old, my hand don't work the same. Like my right and left hand, it feels different. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you break your throwing hand, right? Like I was a receiver, but you break your throwing hand. Yeah, maybe at 24, it's not a big deal. But when you're 32 and you got to go play in a 15-degree
It's adding up.
playoff game, now your hand don't open the same way. So
Adding up.
you just don't want that to happen. That's never a good look. It's obviously a self-inflicted wound because whatever they did, they screwed up. It wasn't like it was like something freaky, right? Like that was just no one blocked them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it was like a And it's you know what the thing is, it's easy to assume it's all on him because he's young. He had a rough 2 seasons. People think he's more talent than he is quarterback. Like, listen, folks. Reality is a lot of these the
Has it been?
quarterbacks in his
It's been 2 years for him so far.
yeah.
He's going on 3.
This is his third season.
Jesus, time's flying.
Yeah, yeah. Because remember last year he got hurt most of that year. The
Now
year
I remember
prior,
that.
the year prior he was like right out the gates, and then he got hurt again. If I'm
Yeah.
wrong, correct me, please.
No, you're right. This is going to be
Yeah,
his
so
third. It's going to be.
it's going to be his third NFL season. That's why they picked up Daniel Jones. So one thing is he has a sense of urgency right now. He knows I'm gonna pop that motherfucking pinky back in. I need to go out there because Daniel Jones is after my job. For one, two, like he got drafted after 1 season in Florida. Like what was he like? He was damn near a rookie in Florida. He was damn near like you could say he was a redshirt sophomore. I think I want to say that he was, and he was drafted at 21, and it's a shame because, and I get it, Drake May is a young quarterback himself. He's still learning the ropes. He came into a situation that was kind of low with the Patriots because they won 4 games before he got drafted. Anthony Richardson got drafted pretty much in closely the same situation, but for whatever reason, his expectations were much higher. But when I'm listening to like sports radio out in this region, it's like, well, Drake May was just on 21 when he got drafted. He shouldn't. We don't expect him to be like already ahead of time. But when we talk about Anthony Richardson, it's like the people talk about him like he's a crash head dummy. Like he doesn't know it. He was also 21 when he came to the league. That might not work out his first. I don't think his first stint, his first 5 years is going to be good. It's going to be tough. He's not going to do what CJ Stroud did. CJ Stroud was like what in college for like 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Almost, he was damn near a senior when he got out of the college. And we're talking about Joe Burrow was a senior in college when he got to the league. Maybe it's just that if you're a franchise and you want to draft these young quarterbacks, you have to understand that's the risk you're taking. He's a kid. He still doesn't know how to read film. He still doesn't know how to read a playbook. Like, and then you said, "Oh, I'm gonna make him my starter week 1." That's on you. You didn't. What did you expect? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
That's just
think.
what it is to me.
Well, I think the problem is some of these guys play too young. I think Drake. I think Drake may play too young. He
Yeah,
wasn't supposed to play last year, and then all of a sudden he was playing. But
exactly.
I
And now
think
he's
that's
getting
also what.
concussions. He's like running all over the place, thinking he's doing some shit. Like,
Because
nah, that's
I
not
tell
how
you
this
this,
works.
I'm not locked in on Drake May at all. I'm not. I'm not. Like all this, I know what Pats fans need to say. You need to believe that the next guy is there. Like that is what that's the first and foremost. That's what every team needs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Drake May is that guy. We shall see. I wish he could have sat last year. I wish Jacoby Brissett could have just played the whole year. I really do.
Yeah, I mean,
Let
look
Drake
at how
May
the
go in.
season ended. They might as well have kept him up playing that whole year.
Yeah.
But
That's still
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, the Anthony Richardson situation is interesting, but yeah, I hear you with the Colts look because I was thinking about them as well. I was like, that team, I don't know much. I don't think the coach is like the greatest coach in the world. They have talent on that team, offensively and defensively.
They need to get Greg Roman. So they need to do. Not as a head coach. People,
As an OC.
I don't think people give him enough credit for some of the things that he did with Lamar Jackson. Like the Ravens have a very unique style of football. Okay,
They've been like that for years,
but
way before Lamar.
With Lamar, it's extra unique.
Yeah,
I think they should do that. Like you have a top 5 running back, you got a top tight end. Figure out how to put. I don't know. Is Anthony? I mean, he's definitely making some good throws, but is Anthony Richardson ever gonna be like a drop back 30 times a game and deliver dimes? Like, what? Why would we ask that? I'm looking at his numbers right now. He's six. This is 244 pounds.
yo, he's
I get it. You got to protect the guy. I don't want him
250.
taking blindside hits, but brother, you may not have a 15-year NFL career. Your career might be 10 years, but let's have a good 10 years. Bro, you are a physical force.
What if it's this? He came into the league at a wrong time because we seen the comparison to Cam Newton.
I
Cam
think he
Newton
came
was
at the
a
right time. I think
I don't
Cam came
bro.
at the wrong time.
Check me out though. Cam
Yep.
Newton was an anomaly. He came into the league and he was a running quarterback who could
Hmm.
pass the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like he was we saw Michael Vick, obviously. We know about Randall Cunningham. We know about all the running quarterbacks. Cam Newton was that guy because he was 6'5", 250. He
Yep.
was the size of LeBron James running around doing shit. We never saw that before. We saw other guys before, but not that. Anthony Richardson is that right now. But
But look at
the
go
league
ahead.
is more prepared for that kind of guy now than they were prepared for Cam Newton in 2000. When did Cam Newton get drafted? 2009. They
Hear
wasn't
me out.
prepared for no Cam Newton in 2009. They
Hear me
prepared
out.
for Anthony Richardson now.
So I have this. I say this to people all the time when people try to compare Cam Newton to Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not saying Cam Newton's better than Lamar Jackson. Cam Newton, realistically, when you look statistically, he only produces 2 seasons that like even could be green lighted. Right? Like most years, 21 TDs, 7 INTs. 19 TDs, 12 INTs, that's all right. 24-13's all right. 18-12, that's not good. 34-10, that's a good year. But he's kind of always 2 for 1 for INT ratio. Never really has a good quarterback rating. But then I think you look at like what like people have to understand when people say for years, well, the Ravens have no weapons. I'm like, do you know what Mark Andrews does? Do you know who Pat Ricard is? Do you understand that their offensive line ranks top 5 in the NFL every single year? Do you know what his weapons are? They're hopping in big, beefy personnel, and they're getting defenses are having to match the personnel. So now Lamar can use his speed a little bit more. They're gimmicky with the way that they throw. It's not traditional drop back passing, right?
Really?
And it's working, right? And so I think that the Colts could look at getting to a more physical style of football. Maybe on the outside you're looking at more man-to-man routes, right? You're not getting in stuff that brings on speedier personnel. I don't know. I don't watch the Colts that much, but I do think that there are things that you could do to make things easier, right? And then you get receivers that are better at beating man coverage. Maybe not guys that work zone as much. And there's just a way and simplify the game because once a guy can do something well, he's confident you can do it, and then you can grow his game, right? Because Lamar has continued to grow every single year. Josh Allen has continued to grow every single year. But I think when you have guys just doing crazy things, it doesn't. And in terms of Newman, I just think it stinks for him. Like they were just starting to really get into the design QB runs. Now the
Yeah.
design QB
That
runs is
that I could agree. Yep.
the
100%.
I mean, I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. Last year, I was watching Penn State and Notre Dame play. My first thought was these are the worst two quarterbacks I've seen. Riley
You
Leonard
talking
and
about Riley Leonard, yeah, and what's his name, Ali or whatever his name is,
yeah,
some
and
shit
even
like that.
watching Will Howard play too from Ohio State.
Yeah.
But yo, they were doing some fire stuff, man. Where like the QB was like faking a mesh with the running back, and they were basically running GT counter or GY counter, but instead of the tight end being the second puller, the running back would fake the mesh and then be the puller, and then the quarterback would insert
Mhm.
behind him. And I'm like, damn, like you could do some of this stuff with Anthony Richardson. Now, if Anthony Richardson's body doesn't hold up, then that's just like to me, that just thinks it just is what it
That's
is.
just
Like
an
you're
M thing.
you're
That's just
6'5", 200 and almost 50 pounds. If you're gonna be a drop back passer, you probably need to like lose weight. You probably need to come down to 230, less muscle mass, right? But at that size, man, you gotta need to run the ball a little bit, and
I
limit
think
those throwing opportunities.
if anything, the head coach, what's his fucking name?
Psyching.
Sykin. He coached Jalen Hurts. We know that. He coached Jalen Hurts for their first Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl, which he balled out, right? So the whole idea here that people think is that he could duplicate that Jalen Hurts performance with Anthony Richardson, which is possible, but you have to have trust. And I don't know if he really believes and trusts in what he has with Anthony Richardson, because I don't know if that was his pick. I would have feel like that was the head. I want to say that was Ursay, rest in peace. I feel like that was Ursay or the GM's pick, because I don't know if that was really Sykin really
Well,
wanted
there's
that.
well, there's the problem is that the two situations are so different, and that's what stinks. Like, so Jalen Hurts is a coach's son. He understands how to prepare, tremendous leader.
Right,
As we
right.
talked about going to our conversation later, that guy
Yeah.
always says the right thing. Jalen Hurts understands how to put together a PR team, how to surround himself with good people. He's not out here doing anything too much, right? Like
Married
he is a
married man. That's
yep.
that's a, Believe it or not, that's a great equation when you're a quarterback. You have to be married. I'm sorry. You got to be
It could
married.
be. It could be. I'm not gonna say that. It could be. He's a phenomenal leader, right? Like he's a
He
guy that
is.
can lead
Yeah.
the locker room without any issue. He knows how to prepare for games. He also played a lot of football. And then like the Eagles, I mean, like they're known for making good trades. Like there's no AJ Brown on the and
Colts.
Jonathan Taylor's pretty good. Can he rival Saquon? Okay, maybe cool. All right, let's do
Yeah.
that. Defensively,
Devontae Smith, man.
yeah, there's no Devontae Smith on this team. Like I think that Alex Pierce and Michael Pittman are good, but I don't think these guys are like great wide receivers. I think Josh Downs got some speed, and I told you I'm big on AD Mitchell, but AD Mitchell is like even watching him play today, terrible blocker, constantly wrapping around the side. You can tell from his stance what routes he's running. So, those are things that I think don't necessarily help a quarterback situation to be successful. And so I think it's hard to go the Jalen Hurts approach, but it is good that you have that experience. I just think they need to adjust some of the things that they got going on in that team to really make it easier for Richardson. I can't see a scenario where he's not the starting quarterback. I think the Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson competition is fake. To be honest with you, I think it's just a matter of just getting
Yeah,
Richardson to.
it's to get the
Oh,
kid to like understand like we need you to step up and like I said, it's a cerebral thing. It's not he has the talent. I think he can lead. There's been games where even though he may have got hurt or whatever, he didn't perform to the standard of certain other quarterbacks. He still impact the game to the
yeah,
point
yeah,
where
he
it's
can
like
definitely impact it.
teams have to account for him. Teams know what Daniel Jones brings to the table. You
Yeah,
put
it's
him
nothing
out
special.
there, it ain't gonna be nothing special. He's gonna get fucked up. Like even when they had Flacco last year, Flacco would start one game and tear it up, and then the following game he gets his ass kicked
Listen,
because they already know what they're seeing from fucking Flacco. They're not scared of
Daniel,
fucking
I
Flacco.
had Daniel Jones on my fantasy football team. Okay, after watching that first preseason game, I just cut him. I
You
just
feel
cut him
me?
mid game. I just cut him. I don't want to see no more Daniel Jones. Like I'm good. I think he's a good NFL backup. Like if you need a guy to go in and back a guy up and go on for a while, like he's the guy, right? Like he's just kind of meh. He's okay at everything,
He's
you know.
Mason Rudolph who could run. That's what he
Yeah,
is.
he's a
Done.
little okay
Done,
at
done,
everything.
done, done, done. So if the Colts want to fuck up and go around and settle with that, they might as well consider that season a mediocre season as it should
The
be.
only way I see you want to go him for a year is if you want to figure out what some of these guys can do as pass catchers. If I want to figure out see AD Mitchell a little bit more, Josh Downs a little bit more, I want to see Tyler Warren catch the ball a little bit more, then maybe I go Daniel Jones. But if you're talking about being a team that can make a run, you're not going Daniel Jones. You need Anthony Richardson to pan
But
out.
coach, if that was the case, why didn't they just keep Flacco then?
Nah, you gotta move on from Flacco. You gotta move on from Flacco
He's a
because Daniel
passer.
Jones.
That's all he does.
Yeah, but he's old as hell. You need a guy, like in my opinion, you need a guy that's a little scary. Like, listen, I don't think it's a real competition. I think it's a fake competition at this point.
Yeah, I think
But
it
I
was
think
just
it but I
accountability.
think because Daniel Jones, what's he 27? He's not that old, right? So what it does is, right, like I'm 28. So what it does is what I'm thinking is if Joe Flacco's the starter, then it's like, okay, well, he's only gonna be here a year, so I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, and
But Daniel
you have to give
Jones,
it to him at that point. You're like, yeah, he's here
yeah,
for a reason. Let's give him an opportunity.
Daniel Jones creates some type of sense of urgency. He's 28. If you lose a job to Daniel Jones, you could be waiting a long time. You could be off this team. You get what I'm saying? You can't lose a job to another 28-year-old. So, like, because like you're 24 or 23, however old Anthony Richardson, so you are still younger. Your career wouldn't be over. But if Daniel Jones became the starter and succeeded, the Colts would, well, they would keep him. Like, he's young. So I don't really think it's like Daniel Jones, he's just not getting better. Like, of course he's a better thrower and can read the field a little bit better. He's played more games. He's probably a little bit better in that department. But like, this guy, let's be real. His best season was when he was a runner
Yeah,
with
that's
David.
why they went to the playoffs and everything. Him and
Yeah,
Saquon were dangerous together
that was his best
somehow, some
season when he
way.
was a runner.
Yeah.
And I think that's a style of play that we're not talking about enough at the NFL. I think that for guys that are not as gifted with arm talent, you need to be able to run the ball a little bit as a
Hmm.
QB. You're
Yeah, you got
plus
to
one
give
in
the
the run game.
Yeah,
You
not
know,
all of y'all gonna be Tom Brady. It is what it is. Tom Brady could
you only need a
stand
few of
there,
those. Yeah.
but exactly, him and Peyton were able to stand there like statues and just destroy people. This is not the NFL is not like that no more. Like even like I look at somebody like we're talking about. I want to talk about Baker Mayfield. He's in the NFC, but we're gonna get back to the AFC and finish up with them. But Baker Mayfield, that motherfucker is nails. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells me. I don't care if he throws 3 interceptions. That motherfucker will run for a first down and put his head down. He don't give a shit. He just wants to win football games because he has the he's the SEC quarterback. He just knows that he wants to win a fucking football game. I'm just using that as an example because it's like
Yeah, I would.
he's not really a runner, but he will put his legs to the test. That's
He's
just what it is.
fried, yo. Like, yo, there's fumbles rolling around on the ground, and he'll dive into a pile to get one.
Right, yo, he's
I would,
tackling.
yo, I would love to see Baker Mayfield with an elite defense. Like, I would love to,
Bruh.
like, you know how we talk about like some of these quarterbacks in the past? You're like, yo, he was so trash. He won with like an all-time great defense, but those quarterbacks were like fried.
Yeah,
Like, they were like dogs. Like, not gifted and talented, but just tough as nails.
hell yeah,
Like literally will do whatever. I know he's got a high-powered offense, but I would love to see
bro. I'm
Baker
gonna tell you right
Mayfield.
now, if
Like,
Sean McVay sees how Stafford is not able to sustain a healthy body going to the next following off season, he will not only will he draft a quarterback, he will call Tampa immediately like, bring me that
nah,
motherfucker
he doing that.
Mayfield back.
Nah. He gonna need someone younger.
But I'm just saying
Yeah,
as a bridge, because he's the reason why Baker Mayfield is back in the league. That
yeah.
one Thursday night game when he went off, that led to him being able to get signed again and be given the opportunity. But let's move on and let's get to the end of this. We're finishing up with the AFC. I do want to ask, who do you got? You kind of gave us a hint of who's in your top seven. Who do you got in your top seven, starting from seven to going up to one?
Yeah, I mean, I think those first four are clear: Bengals, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs. I don't think the Bengals will
Those are your
start
top
slow.
four.
Top four. I
No,
don't think those
no,
two. I don't think those teams will start slow again. I mean, I don't think the Bengals will start slow
you
again.
ain't got an order.
Now the order's going to be tough. I don't know between the Bengals and Ravens who will win the division.
Okay,
I don't know. I know the Chiefs are going to win the division, and I know the Bills are going to win their division. I'm very confident on that.
okay.
When we get to the AFC South, I would guess the Texans would win the division, but I kind of said like the Colts. I don't think they'll knock out, but like the Texans took a step back, and I don't know if they're going to take a step forward this year. DJ's a big boy quarterback now. There's a lot of film on him, right? Like everything he does is being watched. I think I don't want to say it's easy, but I think for a good quarterback, you can go in and make a big splash your freshman year. Your sophomore year is harder. They're watching film on you. They know what you like to throw. They understand how you set up some of your passes. He's got to keep growing and getting better. So I would probably put the Texans as that fifth team. And then I don't know how it'll play out because it's weird. I got Broncos, Chargers. I think when you're in the same division, it gets kind of tough. And, so for me, I'm going Bengals, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs. Let's say Broncos and Texans. And then I think the Patriots and Chargers kind of duke it out for that last spot. I think it's just tough when you're talking about three teams from one division making the playoffs, right? Because, if I'm the Chargers, I gotta go play the Broncos and the Chiefs, right? Twice, right? So like that's not easy. So I think that stuff gets weird. But those are, like I said, those are gritty teams when we're talking about the Broncos, the Chargers, the Patriots. And maybe I shouldn't anoint the Patriots as a gritty team because they weren't gritty last year. But I feel like they're gonna upset some teams. They
They
could swing.
they they might live up to the standard of their coach because he's considered gritty,
Yep.
but we
Hear
it's
me
yet
out.
to be seen.
There's nowhere in between. It's 7-10 or it's 10-7.
Yeah, and I was hearing I
Seven and
was
ten or
hearing
10-7.
today the ceiling is 11-6 and the minimum standard is 6-11. So I mean, here's the thing, and I'm not gonna go too crazy with the Pats. We're in New England area. We in Massachusetts. We have to talk Patriots. The Patriots. I sound mad Haitian saying that. The Patriots. We gotta talk the Pats. The reality is, anything more than 4 is a come up.
No,
What do you mean no? Anything more than
cannot
4?
come. They cannot come out here and win 4 games.
I said
If
more
they
than. More than they gotta go.
If they win,
They're getting more
if
than.
they hear me out, if they win less than 7 games, this is going to become a panic show
Well, for the fan base, yes.
for everyone. We're going to really question Drake May.
Of
That's who's
course
going
they
to get
can.
questioned. So they cannot be under 7 games. We cannot. They can't. They
It's gonna
can't.
be tough, man. Can they
They're
can they
too.
beat the Bills?
Yeah, they can get one against the Bills. I think they can get one. I don't know if they will. And
They ain't gonna.
I definitely think they'll beat the Dolphins and the Jets.
Tua
The
is
Dolphins,
Tua is undefeated against the Patriots when he's
the
healthy.
Dolphins are falling apart right now
I agree
before our
with you
eyes.
too. No,
They're
I'm
falling
not. I'm
apart
not.
before
I'm
our
not
eyes.
against that. I
Listen,
got them as the team that I believe that's gonna regress. But
Mike
when
McDaniels.
Tua's out there, they don't win against him.
I know, but I just think it's different. I think it's different. I think there's a lot of bad things going on in Miami right now. But that's the NFL. Nobody is going to be. It's very rare that you get to go on a Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick type, coaching. They've all been fired. Sean Payton's been fired, right? Like Andy Reid has been bounced around a little bit. Like that's how it goes in the NFL. Your careers are
Hmm.
tied to players, and if the players produce, you'll be here a while. If the players don't, you're done.
You
You're
out of
done.
here.
That's it. You're out of here,
You're
man.
gonna.
There's nothing left. And then you gotta refresh it up. It is what it is. There's no stability in that line of work. Hey, at least you get a nice severance package. That's the way you look at it.
I mean, shit, for real, for real. Who do you have as a dark horse? Is it the Patriots?
Well, I mean,
I mean, you
I'll tell
kind
you
of have
this.
them in your top seven, so they can't really be a dark horse.
I think
Is
the
it the
Chargers
Colts?
somehow. I don't know how it'll shake up. I think the Chargers will get in before them. I think the Patriots will set up probably around 7-10. I think they'll turn it over down the stretch of some games. But my dark horse, will tell you this. I mean, you have respect for them, but a lot of people want to talk trash about them. I got the Bengals. I
Mm-hmm.
got the Bengals. Like I see all this stuff. Like, bro, Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow's been to the AFC Championship. Oh, that guy that you other two guys can't keep beating. Yeah, he's beat that guy multiple times. So to me, if we can't see that value anymore, I understand it hasn't been done recently. I got the
Yeah,
Bengals.
honestly,
That's the team.
I'll be honest
I
with
got the
you,
Bengals.
bro. Outside of Mahomes, he is absolute. I mean, I know Lamar got two MVPs. Josh got an MVP. Joe Burrow is our modern day Dan Marino. He is absolutely as advertised when he's healthy.
Yep.
So I don't care what anybody said. Like that Cincy offense looks like that Miami offense that had what's his name? Duper and Clayton. So and then he's Dan Marino. He is absolutely the same shit. It's just that unfortunately they're not investing well with that defense. Or they're not they drafted Stewart, but we don't know what that's gonna look like. But
Yeah, I
the
think
kid is nice, man.
they start. I think the Bengals' problem is they start slow every year. You can't start
Yeah.
slow.
And I think
Those
I think it's gonna change this year. I think it's gonna change.
like when we talk about Tom Brady and we talk about Peyton Manning, right? There's Drew Brees to an extent. There's Phillip Rivers, right? Am I missing a guy? Ben Roethlisberger as well too, right?
Ben Roethlisberger, yep.
I think the quarterback play from these four is probably the greatest four quarterbacks we've seen, and old timers are going to flip out about this in a period of time. I mean, we got four really, really good quarterbacks in the AFC. I think history repeats himself. I don't know who it'll be. It could be Burrow. It could be Lamar. It could be Josh. Somebody's going to win a couple Super Bowls that's not named Patrick Mahomes in these next few years. I know the Chiefs are getting younger. I think they're gonna get ready to go through a down period. I think that's coming. Mahomes is still gonna be Mahomes, but I think that's gonna happen for a while. Someone's gonna take over. I don't know who's gonna push to the front of that four. All the other teams are just existing. But of those four teams, or those three other teams, Bills, Ravens, Bengals, somebody's going to push forward as the new
Right.
dynasty
At some point, yeah. It's only a matter of time, and
this
it's
year.
inevitable. It's
Yep. I
inevitable.
don't think the Eagles going back to back. We'll
Right.
talk about NFC at a different day. Like
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an AFC team.
Because the thing is, like, you as a Patriot fan, you've seen it. The Pats went 10 years. Obviously, there was other reasons why they went 10 years without Chip. They lost 2 championships. In between that, Brady got an ACL torn, and there was Deflategate. All that shit happened within that 10 years, but it was still 10 years of the greatest of
Yeah.
all time not winning a championship. So that
And you know
means,
what he was doing during that time? He was throwing a lot of touchdown passes. Some of his
right, he was
best
winning
statistical
football games,
seasons.
going to AFC championships. Yeah, Holmes is due for that moment where he's going to go maybe 5 to 7 years of not seeing any success. He's only what? Well, he's now 29, going into 30. He's going into the next period of his career if he decides to go into his 40s. So it's like it's almost inevitable. Those other guys will see their time, and
Yep.
I can see it happening. But is that the team that you find to be the team that you think is going to regress? Is the Chiefs, although they're in the top 7?
Well, when we say regression, we're talking about coming from Super Bowl champions
Yeah, I
and
know.
multiple Super Bowl champions. So I still got them there. Any year is possible. I mean, they shocked us a couple years back, 2 years ago, and won a Super Bowl
Yeah.
when things didn't look hot. I just think they're aging, right? Like Travis Kelsey's getting old. Let's be real.
Mm.
This Rasheed Rice situation is a mess. I think Xavier Worthy, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think he's that good. I think he's a gadget player. Pacheco's coming off a broken leg.
Don't know nothing about Hollywood Brown's situation.
Yeah, Chris Jones is getting old.
They still got
Yeah,
Juju Smith.
yeah, I just
Yeah, it's a typical regret. It's typical old aging
yeah,
team that's trying to
yeah.
recapture their flair, and
And
it's
they did a great job. They got three.
I know, and like you said, it's still possible that they could steal another
Always
one here and
possible.
there.
Always possible with Mahomes.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about what you say, what we're talking about there? I saw an Instagram post or it was a Twitter post, X, whatever, and they were like, it showed like a roster of his receivers when he won the chip the year prior. It was like the year that they beat the
I'm
Eagles,
more.
Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney,
McCall Hartman.
Nicole. I'm looking at that shit like years ago. When you looked at that, we're like, oh, that's a cheesy ass fucking receiving core because you play that on Madden. You put that in the depth chart.
People need to stop playing Madden. That's the problem. That's not how football works, bro.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
casuals look at that.
he's 6'4", 97 speed. This guy's got to be a stud. It's like, bro, it doesn't work
Like,
like that.
but
That's
you
not
know
how
what
it
I'm saying
works.
though? Like years ago, when those guys were on that roster, that Super Bowl season, a lot of people were like, oh, he has the weapons then, because they say Kelsey is the headline. But
Yep.
the reality is, he had really no receivers. It's no different than when the Patriots went and beat fucking what's it called when they beat the
The
Falcons
Rams.
and the
Rams.
Rams,
Rams. Yep.
the Falcons, they had just guys who were just figuring it out, and they just maybe had one person that stood
But you
out.
know what it is? Brady's a little bit different of a quarterback than Mahomes. Sometimes Mahomes shows it. Brady plays on time, plays on schedule. So there's a lot of option routes and things that, I think that the Brady that guys that could Brady and could do things with that couldn't go. So I think that's what unique with Brady is like.
Yeah, Brady was absolutely much more unique in like stylistically, like he was like your prototypical like quarterback. Like he stood in the pocket. He I think Manning also helped a lot of quarterbacks back in the day because he showed that you although you got the guy in the helmet, I could make calls on the line, and then Brady perfected that as well. So those quarterbacks were absolutely great when it came to that. But yeah, there's not a lot of people that you could say that's like Tom Brady. That's a different beast. Oh, he had the mentality and he was extremely cerebral when it came to it. But with Mahomes, although he's in a different time, as a modern day quarterback, he is more off schedule with stuff, and which makes him better in a way in comparison to other guys that play now. Because a lot of guys are trying to play off schedule just like he is. Even older players are trying to play off schedule like Mahomes, but he does it better and he can make up for mistakes better than these guys. That's the other thing about playing quarterback. It's one thing to be perfect at what you do, but how do you do when you make a mistake? Because that's the thing is like a lot of people forget. Brady wasn't the most perfect playoff quarterback. He made mistakes in the playoffs. He fumbled, he threw interceptions, pick sixes. He did them shits. The Atlanta Super Bowl is the perfect example. He threw a pick six, and people thought the Super Bowl was fucking over. Granted, he had a pretty steady defense that allowed him to be able to march down the field countless times, but he still had to make those plays. He could have just sat on his hands and say, "Fuck it, this shit's over." But he took initiative and he took that team to the promised land. You understand?
Yep.
But not a lot of quarterbacks can do that. They'll throw two picks and a fumble and it's curtains. They don't give a fuck. Like they just lost their whole, their whole mentality's gone. They don't even know how to reset their mindset. And being a quarterback, you have to forget the last play. That's
Yep.
it. That's it. You got to keep it moving. But either way, I do have my top 7. I do have my dark horse. I do have my team that's going to regress. I'm going to start from 7-1 before we get too far off on this and we'll have like a 3-hour podcast. But my top 7 starts with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I only picked them because Tomlin does rarely lose. I don't think he has a losing season yet.
Nope.
I don't know how it's going to look with. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers truther. Only when he was a Packer that I loved him. When he left them, it's no love lost, but I ain't fucking with you. You're good over there. Until you retire, we could be friends again. But I think they'll win 9 games again. That defense is pretty stacked. Let's be honest. Let's not act like it's not a good defense. It's always a good defense when they're healthy. Number 6, I got the Chargers. I believe in John Harbaugh. Like it's hard for me to not believe that. Is it Jim or John? It doesn't matter. Is the Harbaugh brothers
Yeah.
are in my
I
top
think Jim is
7.
let's see.
Jim is the oldest. Yeah, it's Jim. My fault. It's
Yeah.
Jim. He's the youngest, I should say. Um
Yeah.
he he reminds me, like, that's how Vrabel's gonna lead this Patriots franchise going forward. It's the same way. Like it's just a former player mentality, hard nosed. I'm sticking to my guns. Like if we're gonna be a running team, we're gonna be just that. I'm gonna protect my quarterback, hopefully for the Patriots, protect Drake May. But in this case, like he protected Herbert pretty well. And I don't look at Herbert as a top 10 quarterback. That's my opinion. I'm sorry. He has the talent, but anytime the playoffs come around, he lays a big pile of shit. So I don't know what to say about him sometimes. But the team is still going to be competitive. They're probably the only team in that AFC West, I think, that will give the Chiefs fits in a consistent basis. So he's the number 6. Number 5 is Houston. I can see Stroud rebounding off of his sophomore slump. Defensively, they're led by a defensive coach. They had 2 guys that have 15 sacks each. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's gonna be a tough team to beat in that weak ass division. And then I got Cincy, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo is number 1 in my list. I truly believe the Bills, and God is good to them. They're on Hard Knocks. They get to show their good side. They get to show their fan base, all that shit. I like Josh Allen. Like he's fun to watch. Like as much people as how people like to watch like Joe. I love watching Joe Burrows. Don't get me wrong. I love watching Pat. Josh Allen, because of what people thought he would have been and what he actually ended up being, is all that we need to know. Like, as you being a Patriot fan, like there was people like sitting there like, oh, he's gonna be a bust. Like he's over there doing crash head shit, like running into like a pile of people getting concussion. He was doing crazy shit, and he came from a not a big school. He didn't come from like fucking. He didn't come from the SEC. He didn't come from the ACC. He didn't come from fucking the Big 12. He came from fucking the middle of nowhere. Became a top 10 pick, and he's like MVP. You know what I'm saying? He reset the market on the NFL quarterback money. You feel me? So it's like,
There's a key element here.
what's that?
Brian Dable.
Oh yeah,
Brian Dable.
yeah.
Telling you right now.
He fixed.
I think he's just good with it's the same conversation I said earlier about just being able to run your quarterback a little bit. That's who Josh
Yeah,
Allen is.
yeah. No, he looks even better when he's running that ball too.
Not crazy, but just enough. You got to have your quarterback design runs. You
Of
got to
course.
have them, especially when the game's on the line.
Even Pat Mahomes has a quarterback design run.
Yep.
They give it to all of them. Like I forget when it was. Like maybe it's like 2 years ago. Remember I tweeted something. I was like, they just need to it wasn't even him. I think it was somebody else. I was like, you gotta give the quarterback. You gotta get the quarterback involved. Like sometimes the quarterback just feels like I'm not involved. I know I'm throwing the ball, but I need to get hit. Like Lamar Jackson is one of those guys. He likes contact. He's like, okay,
Well, the
now I'm
problem
in
is
the game.
the problem with the Ravens is they do the exact opposite in the playoffs.
Right. And that's the shit
They stop
that's what
running
I was
him in the
talking about. You
playoffs.
know
They
what?
did it
That's
against
what
the
I was talking
Steelers,
about.
and then they get into a
Yeah.
major game, and then they start throwing the ball left and right. We don't need to see that. Listen,
Right.
you're not going to convince me, okay? Lamar Jackson should win several Super Bowls. Just run them.
Just let
We
him
talk
run.
about a sprint out play on, bro. Why not just run them?
Right. Look at the fucking Eagles. I don't care if Jalen Hurts only throws 2,000 yards in a season. If
Run them.
he's scoring 18 touchdowns rushing, that is phenomenal.
You
Miss me
gotta
with
run him,
that.
man. You gotta run him. Lamar Jackson has a unique archetype where like this. This is not Madden. I don't care what his TD to INT ratio is. This is not Madden. He does not throw the football like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. He is a running quarterback who can throw the football. He needs to run. There is a
Yeah.
play. He gets
Let the
out the
kid run.
pocket. Play breaks down. A guy streaking across the field. Lamar Jackson dots him up.
Exactly.
That's okay. There's a style to play. Run Lamar Jackson, you'll win a Super Bowl. Not during the regular season. You can do whatever you want during the regular season. But come playoff time, you need to pound that rock. They started to do it against the Steelers. And I don't know what they did when they played the Bills.
Exactly. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, for the Baltimore Ravens, if they want to win a Super Bowl, let Lamar be Lamar. Don't but when I say that, it's not you can't be like, okay, feed it to him saying, hey, we're gonna showcase you. That's why the Seattle Seahawks lost that Super Bowl to the Patriots. They just let Russell be Russell. Like they just said, hey Russell, we're gonna make you be MVP. Throw this fucking pass. No, give the fucking ball to Marshawn. Or do a fucking read option. Because that's what made Russell very special in those years. He was a running quarterback. When he lost the legs, he was less of that. He's already 5'10". So it's like when you're
Mr. Unlimited.
right, like when you have limitations with your height and your weight as a quarterback, you better use those fucking legs. Like that's why we came back to the Cam Newton thing. Cam Newton was an anomaly. We're talking about 6'5", 240, running around. That's crazy. You don't see
250.
that. That's not normal.
250.
250. That's not normal.
250. Nah,
Let's
he's
let's be
not
real.
normal.
That is not
I
normal.
think I think after LeBron James and Lamar Jackson contends for it too, but Cam Newton might be one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen.
Mike Vick's up there too.
Mike Vick as well too, but he's not. Mike Vick wasn't the physical specimen. He was quick and
Yeah,
agile, but Cam Newton was fast and powerful. He towered over linemen. Josh Allen kind of has the same effect a little bit. He's just not quite as fast as Cam Newton or as
yeah,
quick.
exactly. He is the white Cam Newton to me, but he's I shouldn't say the white Cam Newton. He is what Cam Newton should have been if Cam Newton was more accurate.
Hmm.
If Cam was more accurate, we're looking at the same kind of guy. But yeah, I believe in the Bills this year. I think they'll be the best team in the AFC in my opinion. But again, like you said, that top four you could shuffle the deck on that. That's gonna look different every week until somebody wins that number
I'm
one seed in that
excited
conference.
for that four. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's,
I'm
it's gonna
very
be
excited for
entertaining
that four.
as long as they're
I
healthy.
pray. I pray no major injuries,
Right.
especially for Joe Burrow, who always gets hurt.
I know.
But that four makes football great,
Yeah.
and that's just the
And
AFC.
right.
That's just the AFC. That's not even the NFC. That's just the AFC.
And we will be talking about the NFC at some point, and probably by next week, because we want to preview that as well. But I also have my dark horse. My dark horse is the Raiders. Call me crazy. I know. I
I'm
know.
calling you crazy. Nah, that's
I know.
crazy.
I know. I know. I know. I believe in Gino. I believe in Gino.
Hell no.
I believe in.
I can back all your takes. Hell no.
Listen, I'm just saying, like it looks different over there. I'm just saying. You know
Everything
what I'm
looks
saying?
different in preseason. Everybody thinks it's their
No,
year
it's
during
not even the
preseason.
preseason. It's not even the pre. I haven't watched any preseason. I'll be keeping a buck. I'm not a preseason watcher. I don't like it because it just false hope. It's all about a false hope. I don't watch a lot of college ball for me to be like pinpointing who this that. I know Genty's over there, but that don't mean shit because they give him like 2 drives maybe, and he doesn't do much. He's a guy who needs to build up to get his yards. I just know for the fact that they got Carroll as the coach. They have a pretty tenacious defense. They're going to be a problem. They're going to be tough. I could be absolutely wrong, obviously.
Yeah,
But that's just the
a
dark
year
horse.
two from now. Year two from now. Year two from now. I see your vision. I see your vision. But overnight, that's a lot. Like Gino's
Listen,
good, but like Gino's not one of those other quarterbacks to like turn around like that.
I don't know. Listen. Geno,
Crazy.
Sam Darnold, Geno, same tomato. Hey, shit can
Nah.
happen.
Don't do that to Geno. I still don't believe in no damn Sam Darnold, man.
I don't either. Trust me, I don't. I don't. I was not surprised when
I
he got his
already
ass kicked in
know
the
it's about to
playoffs.
go bad. I already know it's about to go bad for Sam Darnold this year.
I know he's gonna
It would
be.
go bad. It went bad for him in primetime games last
I
year.
know.
So I just know
Listen,
it's about to go bad.
he's about to be so sick when he sees what's his name is hurt half the season. What's the running back's name again?
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker be hurt by mid-season. He's like, damn, I ain't got no running back. You guys told me I had a top tier running back gone, and then he's gonna be spamming JS. That ain't gonna work all the time because he's the only receiver there now. Gone. It's gonna be tough, but that's my dark horse. It's a dark horse in a way of like they're gonna play spoiler. It's not gonna be like, oh, they're going to the playoffs, whatever. They're gonna play spoiler.
Yeah, all right. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Spoiler.
You feel me? You feel me?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they could knock off the Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. That's a divisional opponent. I can see
Exactly.
that.
They'll get
I
one.
can
They'll
see
get
that.
one between those
I can
those
see
three
that.
teams. But the team I see that's gonna be regressing is probably gonna be the Dolphins. Too much Tyreek drama for me. That's done. Like I like him as a player. He just brings too much baggage with his personal life and just how he doesn't do good with the side talk. Like he really makes you think about all the shit that's happening behind the scenes. And he wants to get traded so bad. Let him go. Jalen Ramsey already was talking his shit about Miami as well. Mike McDaniels is not gonna make it through the whole season. I love him as an offensive mind, but I don't know if he could really coach a team. He's coached a team. Don't get me wrong. He's coached a team what 3 years now, 3 seasons now. But he's losing the pieces that he needs. Like he doesn't have an offensive line. Hn just got a report today. Hn might be out for anywhere between days to weeks. He's injury prone. Tua, he's any given time he could be out with a concussion again.
Remember what I said? Your career is tied to the players that you are coaching.
There you go.
They are tied
So
to those.
if you see a Tyreek trade happen, if you see Tua out for a season, if you see HN not coming back, just
You hear me
know
out.
Mike McDaniels is
The
out of
only
there.
if I'm Mike McDaniel's, I'm going out petty. The only way I'm a dead man walking at this point, and I think he knows that. The only way that Tariq Hill is getting off the Miami Dolphins is if we send him to a terrible football team. I am not helping him get to a Super Bowl. Hell no. Hell no, I'm helping you get to a Super Bowl. And you out here screwing up my opportunity? Nah. You're going to wake up on the damn Cleveland Browns. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
I'm
I'm like,
not
oh, you
going to
want that
help you.
money? I'm telling you, I'm
Yeah.
taking your ass to Cleveland.
Yeah, go to Cleveland. Go play with the six quarterbacks. I'm not helping nobody. Like, yo, you screw up my career. That's how I would move if I was in the NFL. I call it off if you want to screw up my career. Brother, you're 31. I'll be coaching a lot longer than you're gonna play. How old's
Fact.
Hill? How old's Hill? Hill gotta be 31, right?
Oh, he's like 31, 32.
He's already
Man is a
having
mess.
sauce.
That brother is a mess.
Yeah, he's 31. Yeah.
I love his talent. But you know what Tyreek wants. He wants to go back to Kansas City. You know him.
Yeah, you ain't going back to kid. Yeah, you go back when you're 33. You can go back when you're 33. That's what you can do. You ain't going back now. I'm not helping Tariq Hill get another
Yep.
Super Bowl.
No, you know. Here's the perfect
I mean,
storm. Here's the perfect storm. They send his ass to
he
what
just
happened?
got a 3 year. He just right.
When?
When did he sign this?
He signed that a minute ago.
No, he signed that last year. So he's got 2 seasons left. This and next.
Yeah, but he's petty, bro. He every season he's like, give me more.
Yeah, hear me. I'm petty too. So he's contracted for this year, next year. Yeah, 33. Yeah, go join the Chiefs when you're 33, brother. You won't be running 4-3-4-2 at 33. I'll tell you that right now. Fuck with me, I fuck with you. That's how I would do it if I was Mike McDaniels. I'm a coach again in the NFL. I'm gonna go be a coordinator again. I'm gonna go be a head coach. You're gonna be at home.
Oh, you know what they're
You
gonna
got
do? I'm
10
gonna tell you what
kids.
I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna look like. Niners are gonna be like fucking 4-7, and then they're gonna trade his ass to San Francisco. I mean, is gonna get fired, and he's gonna go back. He's gonna go
No.
back over there as a
Yeah.
consultant, and
I'm
Tyreek's going
not
over there too.
trading Tariq Hill. He can rot. He can rot. All these little, oh, this is what we should be doing with the team. Ollie Gordon should be getting the handoff. Tariq, just go party in Miami, brother. Because you're
That
not
man,
leaving.
he's a mess. He
You're
is a
not leaving. I'm
mess.
just telling you right now, you're not leaving. You are not going to win a Super Bowl as a number one receiver for a team ever again because I'm not letting you leave this team until your contract's good.
Yeah, he is a mess. Love this. I love his talent. I love speedsters because I was a speedster growing up. I love it, but I don't love the. I don't. He like I don't know what it is. Is it just me or just do wide receivers just
It's
do
a
it
wide receiver
purposely?
problem.
Is it? Do they do that on purpose? You're a wide receiver. Do they do that on purpose? Do they go to the league and say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna be a prima donna" because it's just what it is? Like, come on, dog.
Yo, you want the rock. You want the
Bro,
rock.
we watched Andre Johnson just ball out for almost 14 seasons, and he was an even keel person until he saw Cortland Finnegan. He wanted to beat his ass.
Yeah.
Besides that, he was cool. Alvin Johnson was cool.
Yeah, maybe he
Talk
should have
about.
not been cool because the Texans wasn't winning nothing. I don't know. Some Andre Johnson's a serial killer. So there's that.
Because he's that quiet, he's ready to put hands on somebody all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's a sick individual. I don't know. Most wide receivers are very flamboyant and very open about how much they want the football. Yeah, at some stage you need to shut up. That's just how sports is, man. Like for a top receiver, there's always gonna be a personality, right? Your alter ego. Like you need to feed me. I need the rock. I'm him, right? Like you need that ego. But the head coach got to coach too. And at some point in time, like brother, this is not conducive to the team. So I'm not helping you and you're out here making me look bad.
Right.
So two can play this game. Every NFL head coach gets fired at some point in time, like I said. So if I was Mike McDaniels, that's how I would play it. I'm gonna take you out with me. You won't be around after me. You can go freaking be on a roster, but you at 34, even if he's running fast, that Hammy's gonna go every single year. We see what Julio Jones looked like at 34. Tariq Hill's not gonna be playing, gonna be what he is at 34.
I know. I know.
And he just ran track all summer. He just ran track all summer. Like I don't know. Like that's okay. Let's see how this year goes.
We will see.
We will
We
see.
will see. Well, that was our AFC loaded AFC preview. We'll run this back for some NFC talk. NFC is going to be much more interesting because that's like a fucking toss up. We don't know who the fuck, what the fuck.
It's
It'll be interesting.
defense. It's defense, motions, and run the ball.
That's it.
Defense, motions, and run the ball. It's the way football should be played. Not
I'm
everybody can
excited.
have a
I'm
top four
excited to
quarterback.
talk about it because
Yep.
my team's in the NFC and I don't know what the fuck's going over there. I'm about to go listen to some podcasts about the Packers because they got guys hurting, surgeries, all types of shit, and they got a week 1 against Detroit and a week 2 turnaround and on a Thursday night. I'm scared. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll
But
talk, man. The NFC North gonna be fight ya. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be
hey
interesting.
man, I tell you, like we'll talk about it, but Detroit ain't gonna look too shabby. Trust me, it's gonna look just like how the Eagles looked after their first Super Bowl a few years ago when they lost all those coordinators. So we shall see.
Yeah, nah, it's gonna be open.
All right, man. I appreciate you
All
for
right, Joe.
joining me. We're gonna chop this up again sometime next week. But till next time, everybody, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, whatever. We on Twitter. You want to share your Twitter handle for anybody who wants to fuck with you on Twitter? Because you be talking football, so if they want to check
I
you
do
out,
be. I'm so old. I have to look it up. It's like the mad scientist, I think, or whatever. I gotta look it up, man. Listen. I'm so old and disconnected from technology, and I just tweet what I feel. People ain't probably gonna want to. I ain't gonna say what I want. I might tell you your favorite player is not good, so you might
right.
not like it.
Listen, I used to be much more heavy on the social media shit. I am so disconnected more than none these days. I only post it when I need to, and usually it's because of the podcast. But I'm the same way. I'm probably gonna say something you ain't gonna like because I'm very much more not. I'm not closed minded like most people are. Like people just watch sports and be like, "Oh, this motherfucker's trash." Like before we go, motherfuckers is posting the video of LeBron strength training, and they're talking shit. And I'm sitting there like, y'all have never trained like an athlete in your life. And I'm not saying
Nah,
I've never played professional sports, but I've trained like an athlete most of my adult life. It's not about benching 225 like 20 million times and squatting, 74, 405 a million times. It's a very processed, like there's a process to this. Like you don't just he's 40 years old. What do you guys expect him to do? Like the fuck?
bro. If you need an attempt to play college football, at least attempt. It's like please don't, because most dudes don't even do lift weights in high school. So what do you know about training? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you got to play a collegiate sport, but at least attempt to do something, some type of training, bro. So
These
you know what
motherfuckers
it
out
is.
here, like, yo, people are really out here commenting on a
People just
professional athlete strength training to get ready for his, what, 23rd season?
listen.
Y'all are dumb.
LeBron's not my GOAT, but whatever that guy does in strength and conditioning, people should follow.
Amen. I
People should
agree.
follow. The proof's in the pudding. The guy is healthy, very healthy.
Exactly. He lives a pretty healthy lifestyle. He does his thing. So who am I to hate on the man? But y'all out here wasting y'all internet to hate on that man. So
Yep.
God bless y'all. But with all that being said, till next time, we out.
Yes, sir. All right, bro.